because right now, when the collector makes entries, it's only posting to the receivable and cash, or the revenue and cash, or is it receivable and cash? It's hidden. Revenue. So it's hidden revenue and cash. So they have to go in anytime any transaction occurs, and they have to make journal entries to reduce the receivable and deferred revenue. Anytime there's a refund on it goes through the warrant process and reduces the revenue account and cash. But the receivable is not getting touched, and so I mean it's a big missing link, and I think it's the next step for you to be able to do it, because I mean once you get this the whole collector's package in, it just eliminates the receivable. I mean, the reconciliation of the receivable, in my experience, it's very slick, and I mean, it almost doesn't go out of balance. I mean, was that your experience? I mean, I've had people that started it with it, and it was a small town, and one of the things about Munis, though, it is a high-end, sophisticated user system. It's a high-end user system, so it's not the easiest system to use. But one of the places I had that just started, I was writing up controls, and I said, well, what do you do if it doesn't balance? The list doesn't balance to the ledger. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, what's your next step? What are you going to do? And she says, I don't know, it hasn't happened yet. So I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And it's not always perfect like that. There'll be something, but most of the time, because anything that happens to the receivable, to the person's account, automatically posts up into the ledger. And it's another thing is that as auditors, we don't like journal entries, because that's more, we have to test journal entries more than we have to test automated transactions. And when almost every entry in the receivable account is a journal entry, that's a lot of testing, and it's a lot of room for error, and it's a lot of work that Laurie Ann has to go through to keep the receivables balanced. So when we're reconciling, I mean, when we're testing a place that has an automated system, that we'll look at the journal entries, because that's the opportunity for somebody to change financial statements, or to commit fraud, and by reducing a receivable by a journal entry. So we really look at those. But when every single one transaction is a journal entry in there, we can't test every one. So, and I'm not suggesting fraud. I'm just talking auditors, how we look at things. And so I think that I know it's an expensive proposition, but I think it's a missing link.
Thank
right
you.
now.
And I know we've talked about it last year, probably at the same meeting. Kind of tying into a little bit what Mr. O'Leary brought up with this whole time card control thing. And maybe Greg, this question for you. What do we do at Munis today with time cards?
Well,
we don't.
Time cards are done manually.
They're all manual.
Everything's done manually.
But there is a module associated with it, right?
Yes.
With Munis now.
Right.
Is there, in your experience in other towns that you audited, do they use?
I haven't seen anybody use the module for payroll, timesheets. I haven't seen that, and in some instances, because I believe it's because a lot of the outlying departments aren't that sophisticated to use the more automated approach. So it's probably a training thing, but I haven't seen it myself.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for coming in.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Once again, it was nice to see you, because the findings weren't too bad.
Yeah, no, you got a well-run town.
Thanks, Nick. Good to see you.
Good night.
Bye now.
We have about Mr. Prisco.
I know you probably haven't forgotten, but just to remind you, we haven't done public comment yet. Were you gonna wait on
I
that?
think you did. You called for it.
Called for it.
We
You
did?
did, yeah. Guess it was at 6 o'clock, or?
Yeah, the room was empty.
Anyone here for public comment? Second time? Hearing none? All right, we move on to something else. Does that satisfy you?
Yes.
All right.
I'd rather ask when the room is full, not when it's empty.
understood. Well, do we have to wait until 7:30 to do the, we do?
We do, we have a advertised hearing for item number 5 on the list.
Can we go on to start 7, the vote town meeting warrant article recommendations? Or do you wanna wait on that?
Or
We don't have many left, right?
Can we do that?
there are 2, as I understand.
Okay,
You can do that even though it's at 8?
that's not
No,
it.
this
We're
is-
talking number 7.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Valiakonis, do you know which 2 they are off the top of your head?
First article is the capital expenditure, which is article number 9.
Alright. And what is the other before you start on 9?
My recollection was Board of Health, but I could be wrong.
Why don't we do, I think we
Oh,
should
yeah,
do the
the,
Board of Health,
it was
the other
the,
one may take some time. With the revolving
The
fund.
real value fund.
Yeah, it's Article 23.
My understanding is that the Finance Committee is not in support of this.
I had heard that as well, because my understanding is when Health Agent went into the Finance Committee, he expanded the scope of the
Correct,
revolving fund, so
correct.
they're not in favor of it.
Right, the article as written right now is narrowly written. And the Finance Committee did not seem to have a problem with it being narrowly written. However, when the Board of Health proposed this, Mr. Messeri said a broader article, the Finance Committee was not in favor of that.
I know, but
But that being said, they can't propose to expand it anything beyond what's being presented in the warrant article anyway.
I guess they could make a motion and the moderator could say no.
Right, it would be outside the scope. But it's, and again, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, was the health agent or the Board of Health? Was the health agent made the presentation, Board of Health, were they present at the finance
No,
committee? Okay,
it's
so
the
this
health
is the
agent.
Board of Health was recommending, and they were in favor. The Board of Health voted what's in the warrant.
Correct.
And I don't believe that they've changed their mind.
I guess we'll all find out when we get to town meeting. Knew that the health agent had proposed something more general and broad, as Selectman Delaney had mentioned earlier. For the purposes of the warrant, that broad and general language was far too late to be included in the warrant, so this is what we have.
Did you have something further, Mr. Prisco?
yeah, because the last meeting, we talked about this particular article, and I thought the action was put back to the town administrator to go back and connect with the Board of Health and connect
We
with,
signed the warrant at the last meeting, it was too late. The warrant was signed by the Board of Selectmen on May 7th. So I think I had stated my purpose of the board as this was the language that we received from the Board of Health. This is what we had. As I predicted at that meeting on May 7th, the Board of Health came back after the fact and stated they wanted more broad language. The warrant was put
Okay,
that at that
not the
point.
Board of Health, but the health agent.
Health agent.
The health
The health agent, okay, I think we need to keep
Yeah.
that separate and differentiated, because it's the health agent that expanded the scope,
Sure.
but not necessarily at the behest of the Board of Health.
And that proposed language was too late to be inserted in the warrant. Not my decision, the decision of fact that the warrant needed to be signed by the board on May 7th.
as written, I'm in favor of the article. As
Correct.
written.
Yeah, I think when we talked about it, when the Board of Health was in here and
Right.
Mr. Fair was in here, I think the consensus of the board at the time was, as presented in the warrant, because it was limited in scope, wasn't gonna be a lot of money, and just give them a little bit of seed
Yeah.
money for the vaccine.
It made sense.
It did seem to make some sense. So, again, I was in
Yeah, I'm
favor
not
of it at
sure.
that particular time too, and again, I hate to be contrary to the finance committee, but in this particular case, it seemed to make sense. Small amount of dough and, for good reason, to allow them to purchase additional vaccine with funds that might be available, so.
So is there no action gonna take between now and town meeting to kinda get this organized before we get to town meeting?
I thought the discussion was whether or not we were gonna recommend or not
Recommend.
recommend this
Oh,
article
okay.
for town meeting.
All right. Well, I said how I feel.
I'm in support of recommending it.
Okay, do we have a motion? Is there a
Yeah.
motion in the packet?
Yeah, move to recommend Article 23 as presented in the warrant.
Second.
You can take your time. I know it's your first night. Come on, we won't.
I don't think there's one in there.
There was
I don't think he does either.
I don't think there's one in
there.
there.
That's,
We just threw a curve.
I wouldn't do that to you, Joe, if I knew you had one in there, I wouldn't do that.
Don't worry about it.
So anyway, yeah, so I move to recommend as presented in the warrant, Article 23.
Do we have a second?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
But in the meantime, Greg, if you could just touch base with the chairman of
Yeah.
the Board of Health, tell them that was our recommendation.
I will.
And if their position has changed, please let us know.
Okay.
Mr. Misery?
I just wanted to bring up
Sure.
a couple of issues. I had sent you an email, Greg, regarding the return address on the warrant.
Yep.
And I think our chairman pointed out to me earlier this evening, there's 3 different numbers associated with the state of the stabilization fund and the warrant.
Well,
3
first
separate
one-
numbers on 3 different pages.
Mhm.
Could we at least get,
Hold on.
can we
I
at
don't think
least
it's
get the
complete.
right number clarified, number 1? And then 2 is, I have a question regarding, what are we doing to proof?
I
This
have 2 people
document.
that proof it, and they assure me that the stamp on the back, which by no means that this warrant is defective.
No, I
So I
understand.
would appreciate the fact that this is just a simple type of a graphical mistake. It's really not a big deal, Bob.
I wasn't
Really
trying to
small.
I'm not trying to make a big deal
Real
out of it.
small.
Hold on a second.
Of course.
I don't think he's suggesting it's a big deal. I think, given the nature of this document, it needs to be proofread, probably by multiple people, to ensure its
Of course.
complete accuracy,
Of course.
all right? So, I don't wish for you to get defensive. Just take it as constructive, so that the error doesn't happen in the future.
The correct balance in the stabilization fund is included on
Excuse me.
page 6.
Hold-
I'm sorry. Before we went on any further, because I know everybody received one of these at home, and I know there's probably several people watching right now. If we could just go and announce what pages we're talking about where the incorrect numbers are, so people at home.
And I will
can-
do that.
Okay,
I will do that.
that's all I'd ask, thank you.
The chairman was speaking about, on the date of, on the back of the warrant,
Stamp.
Mr. Belliconis,
It's a
you want to
stamp.
add something? Or do you want me just to inform the public as to
Please do.
where the error is?
Please do.
On the back of the warrant that was received, the date of October 3rd, 2011 was a stamp. That was the error there. Town meeting is Monday, June 4th, 2012. Concerning the other issue raised by Mr. Misery that I had also sent you an email on, on page 2 of the warrant, the Finance Committee's report, that list of balance in the stabilization fund of $1,760,000. On page 6, Article 4, that's entitled appropriate money to stabilization fund. In the description, the current balance in the account is listed as $1,809,728. Then if you turn to, that's Article 4 of the special town meeting. Then if you turn to page 28, Article 12 of the annual town meeting, which is entitled appropriate money to stabilization fund. In the description, the current balance in that account is stated as $1,723,353. So those are the 2 issues that were raised in the review of the warrant. And I believe, in communication with the town administrator, the correct amount of the stabilization fund is what's been printed in Article 4 of the special town meeting, which is $1,809,728.
That's the good news. It's the higher number.
It's the higher of
It's
the
the higher
three,
ball.
so
That's good. I'll take it.
So it's good.
in the end, it's good news. So I think it goes back to Mr. Misery's point that
On page 6, right?
it needs, right, it just
Yeah.
needs to be proofread, probably by multiple people. That's all.
Just to verify, Article 12 should have that exact same number,
Correct.
page 28.
So the
The descriptions are merely-
motions will correct.
Yeah, they're merely there for informational purposes.
In about probably 40 seconds, and then we can begin. I know that, go ahead.
Did we already settle on Article 9?
No, we're gonna come back to it because we have to start the 7:30